The motion before this House is that this Honorable House approves the mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2025 financial year. Mr. Speaker, I have spent some time in the chamber and listened to the debate by colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I must say that I have been impressed by the industry and the research that especially our new entrants to the chamber have put into their preparation for the debate. I highly commend our first-timers and their contributions. So, Speaker, we have just listened to my colleague, the Minority Leader, and I think that as he spoke, I recalled our days in this chamber with he and Chairman Sabonsu as majority leaders. Indeed, the beginning and the end of Ghana's economic problems was in Ukraine. I am tempted to believe that the NPP as a party and a government has benefited more from the Ukraine war than even the Russians who started it. I won't be surprised if Ukraine sues NPP, because the NPP has overexploited the war. Mr. Speaker, as I listened to the Minority Leader, I recall vividly sitting on this side and over 88 members of Parliament on the NPP side in government petitioning and indeed threatening to leave this House because they wanted their very failed finance minister dismissed. Their finance minister had performed so abysmally that over 88 of them marshaled their numbers and wanted the finance minister deposed. And I am surprised today to hear the Minority Leader attempt to obliterate that record from our history. I hereby remind you. Which finance minister? You are boasting of social intervention programs. Ken Ofori-Atta capped every single social intervention fund in this country. Get Fund was capped, Common Fund was capped, NHI was capped, every social intervention was capped. Road Fund was capped. Mr. Speaker, it is not a question of who started a social intervention program. The question is who most efficiently ran a social intervention program. And I can say with pride and confidence that since assuming office, John Dramani Mahama and his Minister of Finance have demonstrated greater commitment to social intervention than anybody has ever done. We have uncapped Get Fund. We have uncapped Common Fund. We have uncapped NHI Fund. And we have not only uncapped them, but since assuming office, we have been up to date in payments, and none of those funds have been deprived of any funds. That is how to demonstrate commitment to social intervention funds. Not to start them, but to sustain them and to execute them to the letter of the laws that establish them. Mr. Speaker, I almost laughed and fell from my chair when he mentioned that President Akufo-Addo constructed 13,000 kilometers of roads. 13,000 kilometers of roads. 13,000 kilometers of roads. Mr. Speaker, that has been clearly debunked. And I want to tell my friend, the minority leader, that no matter how many times you tell a lie, it still remains a lie. There's no number of repetition of a lie that will transform it into a truth. And Ghanaians know that their roads were not done under the NPP. Mr. Speaker, I think that I want to quote the Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, Bo Lee, recently, to give a clear indication of how the NDC government is viewed, not just by those of us on this side of the House, but by people as far away as Washington. Mr. Speaker, the IMF Deputy Managing Director, Bo Lee, issued a statement and said, faced with large policy slippages and reform delays at the end of 2024, the new administration has taken bold corrective actions. Please listen. Please listen. This is the IMF speaking. This is not the majority leader. This is not Atu Forson. This is not John Dramani Mahama. This is Bo Lee. He says, faced with large policy slippages and reform delays at end 2024, the new administration, that is the administration of President John Dramani Mahama, the new administration has taken bold corrective actions to maintain the program on track. So even the IMF program that you began, you delayed in the implementation of the measures because you were afraid of the 2024 December elections. So there were slippages, there were delays, all the measures that you were supposed to implement, you did not implement them for fear that implementing them may cost you an election that you actually lost in the end. So this is what he said. Combined with ongoing reform efforts and an improved external position, the corrective measures are set to support Ghana in reaching the goals of economic stabilization, rebuilding resilience, and fostering higher and more inclusive growth. The authorities are strongly committed to restoring fiscal discipline and addressing the structural weaknesses that led to the slippages. They have passed a 2024-2025 budget consistent with the program's objectives and enacted and enhanced fiscal responsibility frameworks. Looking ahead, staying in the course of fiscal adjustments and completing the debt restructuring are key to ensure fiscal sustainability. Mr. Speaker, so it is not just the minister, but the IMF have given a clear indication that the measures we have put in place are the right measures. Mr. Speaker, it is not just the IMF. The various credit rating agencies, Fitch, and all of them have given a clear indication that Ghana is on the right path. Ghana's economic reform efforts have received a major boost as global rating agency Fitch upgraded the country's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating, IDR, from restricted default to B- with a stable outlook. And that is not just Fitch. All the others have given us a very positive rating. Mr. Speaker, civil society groups, everybody knows Imani Ghana. everybody knows that they are a very impartial organization. When it is A, they say it is A. When it is B, they say it is B. After the Minister for Finance delivers his mid-year review to this Parliament, the President of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, clearly threw his support behind the Finance Minister and the policy measures that he has been implementing. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the mid-year review, you will take 10 key points. The mid-year review does not request for extra funds. We're not asking for extra funds. An approval is requested, but the approval is simply based on the fact that there is some multi-year expenditure item and Section 33 of our PFM Act indicates that it has to receive parliamentary approval. Mr. Speaker, very good news reported in the mid-year report. Public debt dropped by 113.7 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the NPP left us with a debt exceeding 726.7 billion Ghana cedis. 726.7 billion cedis. Mr. Speaker, within 5 months of becoming the finance minister, Atuforsen was able to drop this debt up to 113.7 billion Ghana cedis. This is clearly unprecedented. Somebody says that, where did he get the money from? That it is exchange rate. It takes intelligence to know that you can use exchange rate to pay your debts. It takes wizardry, economic wizardry, to know that you can use exchange rate alone to pay a lot of your debt. Why didn't Ofori-Atta use exchange rate to pay the debt? Why didn't Ofori-Atta use exchange rate to pay the debt? Why didn't he? Mr. Speaker, another key point that we take from the mid-year review is that we are going to approach our infrastructure development more intentionally than we have done in the past. So the 55 major stalled infrastructure projects, we will not pursue all of them at once, because if we spread ourselves thinly, given our debt obligations, we might not be able to make significant progress. And so the minister has decided to concentrate on a few of them. Mr. Speaker, the minister is also following up to ensure that we clean the public sector payroll. And he has reported to us that he has conducted a payroll audit. And so far, what the audit reveals is that we have 150 million Ghana cedis in unearned salaries identified. 150 million Ghana cedis in unearned salaries. This highlights the level of corruption that has pervaded our public sector. That we cannot verify 14,000 workers, and that 53,311 separated staff are still drawing salaries. So 53,311 staff who have left the public service, separated, are still earning salaries from government, whilst we cannot verify 14,000 workers. So in all, 450 million Ghana cedis is going as unearned salaries. Mr. Speaker, another major thing that the minister has indicated in the mid-year review is that the sinking fund is going to be populated with funds again. Indeed, I recall when the minister stated that he was going to begin to put US dollars in our foreign accounts and Ghana cedis in our local currency accounts, a colleague minister, a minister of state shouted, why is he going to do that? All the time when we come, we build these funds, and the day we leave office, NPP will come and squander all the funds. Squander all the funds. Why is he going to build another fund again? So the NPP will come in future and come and squander all the funds. When the finance minister, when I turned to the minister and I told him that I'm very sure that for a very long time the NPP will not come. Mr. Speaker, the minister has also indicated that major reforms are taking place in the energy sector. Indeed, the Energy Sector Levies Act is expected to yield 2.9 billion, but that is not enough. There is an effort to transition to gas usage so that we can drastically cut down on our energy expenditure. And that is my response to the entreaties of the minority leader that we must address the wastages in the energy sector. Mr. Speaker, when you listen to the media review, one theme runs through the media review, and that is the theme of fiscal discipline. Fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, by 2023, our economy had gotten to a very critical point. Our debt to GDP ratio had peaked to 84%. Inflation had soared to 54%. Mr. Speaker, I could not believe it to hear that fiscal deficit shrank from 10.7% of GDP in 2022 to 1.1% of GDP in 2025. These are measures that could not have been achieved without painful fiscal discipline. I was also impressed to see that our debt to GDP had also declined from 84% to 43.8%. Mr. Speaker, clearly, I have heard my colleague and the NPP complain about lack of spending. Lack of spending. We are not spending. We are not spending. Mr. Speaker, it is true that we are not spending on wasteful expenditures. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, what is the value? What is the value to the state when you spend 280 million Ghana cedis building a structure that you are supposed to spend 81 million Ghana cedis building? What is the value to the state? So that you can boast that you were spending, and you spent 280 million Ghana cedis to build the Bank of Ghana headquarters when you were told that you could build the structure with 81 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, what is the value? What is the value of spending? What is the value of spending when you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to dig a hole in the name of building a cathedral for God? What is the value of spending? How can you commend yourselves for spending when you are spending monies digging holes and cathedrals were not emerging from those holes? Mr. Speaker, it is true that we may not be spending as much as you would want us to spend, but that is because we will not engage in wasteful spending. Mr. Speaker, I have heard the minority leader's response to the minister's accusation that the inadequacy in terms of revenue generation is as a result of smuggling. But that is the truth. There is excessive smuggling. And on this score, I will urge the security agencies to be up and doing to try and reduce the levels of smuggling that we inherited. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance has to be commended for the leadership that he has demonstrated in navigating our economy through turbulent global headwinds. I have heard the minority want to go back to Russia-Ukraine war. This morning, when I left my house, I was watching CNN. And even yesterday, Russia has sent some bombs into Ukraine and bombed some buildings. So the Russia-Ukraine war has not ended. And yet, the Cedi has rebounded. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the Ghana Cedi has become stronger. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the cost of fuel products in Ghana has reduced. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the price of maize has reduced. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the price of sugar has reduced. Russia is still firing missiles into Ukraine. And yet, the price of rice has reduced. Can you explain to Ghanaians why for all these years you have heaped every misfortune of Ghana on poor Ukrainians and aggressive Russians, when today they can see that Russia is still firing Ukraine and yet their economy is getting better? Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that the NPP spend most of their tenure misleading Ghanaians and lying and attributing every misfortune to the Russians and the Ukrainian misfortunes. But it is obvious that Abam Papa has come and Ghanaians are seeing the difference, that their cedi has become stronger, the dollar has become weaker, the British pound has become weaker, the major foreign currencies have become weaker in relation to the Ghana cedis, and the Ghana cedis has appreciated in an unprecedented manner in recent history. Mr. Speaker, they have seen also that interest rates have reduced. I heard the minority leader saying that the NDC government is doing nothing about the private sector. Doing nothing about the private sector? How true is that? Do you really understand the private sector? Do you really understand the private sector? You are champions of the private sector. Mr. Speaker, the champions of the private sector drove interest rates to 40% to an extent that the private sector could not borrow from our banks. That is the champions of the private sector.